Welcome back to Civilian Tactical Science Channel Edition. Today, I don't have a white lab coat, but I got the next best thing, whatever this is. Inside each pocket, I have 2 of these. These are known as cut shells. We're gonna go over exactly what they are, how to make them, and we're gonna test how damaging they really are compared to regular shotgun slugs. Depending on who you ask, some people will say that cut shells are cheeks, while other people say that they are absolutely goated. So we have a series of tests we're gonna run through to find out which is correct. So how exactly do you make a cut shell? Well, I'm gonna take you to our table of science and you're gonna be able to see for yourself. All you need is birdshot and a knife. You grab a single round of birdshot and you cut around the base until it's nearly detached. What this does is allows all the birdshot to stay contained within the shell as it goes flying off towards the target, enacting maximum devastation, ideally. I could be proven wrong today. With the cut shells, the idea is that it carries that momentum all the way downrange. So for one of these, we're gonna shoot birdshot, and for the other, we are gonna shoot one of these cut shells to show you the damage, and I'm actually gonna even bring in our slow-mo camera. First up, birdshot out of our Beretta 1301 Tactical. No better shotgun in the world, in my opinion. Beautiful. Now, let's go for that split shell. The interesting thing about these is you kind of have to hand load them in, but let's shoot this and then review that slow-mo footage. Oh man, that hit with some authority. So now that you saw those two side by side on our slow-mo camera, now you get the appeal of cut shells. Let me show you some of the tests we're gonna put these cut shells through and figure out, are they really a viable option instead of slugs? We're gonna find out. Now our last test is going to be the ballistics gel test to figure out if it's actually deadly. But first, we're gonna be doing the concrete test. This one should be interesting because we're gonna shoot just a birdshot at it. Then we're gonna follow it up with a cut slug and we're gonna see what the energy transfer actually is. We're gonna see if it has enough momentum to crack this cinder block, which should be very interesting. Keep in mind, these ballistics gel blocks are like $100, so please like and subscribe when we shoot this. All right, let's move on to the test. First up, birdshot. 3, 2, 1. Firing. Ooh, we got some peppering. The block, as far as I can see, is completely intact, so I'm gonna load up our next cut shell, reset our slow-mo camera, and then we'll fire again. Firing. Ooh, firing. Oh my goodness, that is very impressive. Take a look at the slow-mo. You can see that thing got sheared straight in half. So here we actually have both halves. I didn't quite expect it to shear it in half. Here you can see that's right where we hit on that corner, and it didn't penetrate to the second wall, but it had enough energy that it just cracked it. So that test made it look like those cut shells are going to win, but we do have our paper target. This is gonna let us know which is more accurate, actual slugs themselves or these cut shells. So let's test it out at about 50 yards and see what results we get. First up, we're gonna do our 5 shells out of our Beretta 1301. And yes, sometimes I call shotgun shells rounds. Technically they are just shells, but hey, I'm not perfect. Just like how sometimes I call braces stocks, but I never really did like the ATF anyway. Now coming up on our target, I can see that the grouping doesn't look good, but since I was able to shoot from a bench rest, I am able to say I know we didn't pull any shots, so let's take a look at what we got. Here it looks like we caught 1, 2, and then a chunk out of the wood for our third one. So we're grouping up here. It's possible our red dot isn't quite on 0. I need to get on top of that. But this one is maybe the size of 2 fists put together. So let's see what those cut shells do. We've got our 5 cut shells. You guys, this Tennessee weather is now hailing on me. So drop a like on the video just for that, even if you absolutely thought this video was terrible. Oh my gosh, we got some hail inside of our emitter. Our emitter is down. Okay, you guys, the emitter, this is the Gideon Omega, went down for about 4 seconds as a piece of hail fell into the LED slot, but I blew on it and I think I melted it off, so we're gonna keep going. For some reason, these feel a lot louder. That left my ears ringing a little bit. All right. You guys, color me impressed. Take a look at this. So we got 3 hits about as close together as we got those slugs, though the 4th one actually just opened up and peppered the target. Turns out they can be accurate. But what about penetration on metal? Well, let's run that test next. As I was setting up our final test, the Ballistics gelatin test, I saw something that gave me an idea and I thought you guys might want to see it. This right here is a medieval helmet, and the idea I had was shooting the birdshot and the cut shell against this steel helmet to see if it's going to punch through. First up, regular birdshot. 3, 2, 1, firing. No pass through, it looks like. And next up, from the pocket of science, we pull a cut shell. Oy, that spun him around pretty good. Reviewing the damage, this is what we got. A massive hole through both sheets of the steel. So I would say, yeah, that's gonna punch through a lot better than birdshot. Not scientifically conclusive, but I thought I'd bring it to you guys anyway. All right, now on to our ballistics gelatin test. This one is the conclusive test. And before we do, a word from our sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by nobody. I don't have a sponsor for this video, so today I'm gonna tell you something interesting I figured out. If you buy $35 in vanilla beans and throw them into 1.75 liters of fermented beverage that is 80 proof and made out of potatoes, and you leave it there for about a year, it will turn into the best gosh darn vanilla extract you've had in your entire life. So that's today's sponsorship. Back to the video. Now we've set up our ballistics gelatin. Let's do one round of birdshot. A surprising amount of penetration. Look at these pellets. We got about 1/3 of the way through this gel block. Now for our final cut shell of the day. Whoa. All right, looking over here, our ballistics gel block went for a little bit of a tumble. Let's pick it up and see if we can wash it off to show you some of the damage. Taking a look right here, you can see this is where our cut shell hit, and it left about a fist-sized cavitation where all those pellets absolutely expanded. And then taking a look at this, you can see we have the shell in there. All these hovering BBs were from the previous shot, and a massive cluster of BBs that went right until here. Now, in theory, that amount of penetration should be disappointing. So let's shoot high velocity steel shot. We're going to use number 2, which is larger. That could give it a little bit more penetration. So let's shoot and see what we get on our target. Holy Toledo, we hit right here. And with that number 2 birdshot that was made out of steel, we are getting our 12 inches of penetration that the FBI recommends. That was actually kind of impressive. These rounds of cut shell kind of acted like a grenade once they impacted. It was fairly interesting that you're getting just about the same penetration as you probably would if the birdshot were spreading out, except for the fact that it stays together. So every single round hits your target in the same area, just imparting all of the energy in one location, which I think is a lot more devastating. Now, as I got home, I looked at the slow-mo footage and I forgot to mention one glaringly obvious benefit to these cut shells that nobody else has, and that would be for home defense. If you think about it, it's going to impart all the energy you need to take down an intruder while not punching through the walls. And now for the cons. Regular birdshot doesn't get ripped apart, which means you can put it in your shotgun and you can fire it and it'll cycle. However, when we were shooting these cut shells, something very interesting was happening up in the shotgun here. Watch what happens to our cut shell as I fire this round. That is the husk of the round. It really does just rip it off the base and send the whole thing flying downrange. So these are not gonna cycle nicely, and when they come from the mag tube, it's gonna rip them apart. Now, cycling's not the only con. Penetration is also going to be a con. I've loaded up a 12 gauge slug. Let's hit our ballistics gelatin. You can see that the 12 gauge slug in this instance zipped completely through the ballistics gelatin. Well, that's all the science I got for you today. But are you Team Slug? Or are you going to be Team Cut Shell? I think this might be the best one I've done all day, saving the best for last. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next time.